You got people who invented guns, but you got people who could beat those people up who invented the guns, okay? You got people who invented bombs, and you got people who would beat up the people who invented the bombs. I just know there's no way Doomslayer get in Dragon Ball Z realistically. How far would Doomslayer get in Dragon Ball Z realistically? Bro, my man don't got no special beam cannons. He just got like armor and guns. I think I asked the question who would win, Doom or Master Chief, and everybody told me Doom had like some crazy powers, which is understandable compared to Master Chief. But compared to Dragon Ball Z, I don't know what these people talk about.
So this week, the newest Doom game, Doom The Dark Ages, comes out. And so I think it's a perfect time to finally talk about the power scaling.
Like you're going to tell me a guy who needs a mask and armor and a shield is going to beat Dragon Ball Z characters? What are we talking about?
Of the Doom Slayer himself and the overall power of the Doom universe. As the Doom Slayer is known for tearing through massive hordes of characters as a one-man army, I think a 1v1 fight inaccurately captures the type of fighter that the Doom Slayer is. So today, we're going to be putting him up against the entire Dragon Ball universe.
Hold up. The entire... We're just making stuff up now. We're just making things up at this point.
So, starting from chapter 1.
You said the armor is to nerf himself. There's no way. I am not familiar with the backstory of Doom. Maybe I need to play Doom and I'll understand, but
of OG Dragon Ball and going all the way to the most recent events of Dragon Ball Super. How far would the Doomslayer get in the Dragon Ball universe? Would he be
like Frieza blew up a planet? Whatever planet Doom on, Frieza gonna blow it up. GG's, goodbye. We'll see you later. Okay?
To rip and tear through all of it, or does he struggle with the farmer with a shotgun? Let's find out. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out the links in the description, and let's jump right in. Now, the Doomverse, especially with the recent reboot in 2016, is somewhat controversial scaling-wise, as like with many other video game series, there seems to be a massive disconnect between the visual strength the Doomslayer shows on screen during cutscenes or gameplay, and the actual strength of the Doomslayer as stated in the lore of Doom. That's why some people genuinely think Doomslayer versus Master Chief is even partially debatable, or literally think the Doomslayer is...
Okay, what about Doom versus Samus? Is that better? Is that a better? No? Okay.
Just a kind of strong guy with guns.
I teach
Both
you how to
of
play,
these are
like,
simply
3 games
downright
if you play
incorrect
Roblox.
ways
Okay,
to
that's a bet.
understand the character or what he's capable of. I understand that the gameplay may make it look like the Doomslayer is getting hurt by, or that he's struggling with ultimately weak demons or enemies, but within the story, pretty much everything is low difficulty for the Slayer, and almost no one is comparable to him. And when they are, he simply surpasses them. But just to get this out of the way, using Doom Guy without any lore is obviously not getting very far in Dragon Ball. Still, even with just gameplay, the Doomslayer is no slouch. This insanely lowballed and inaccurate version of the Doom Guy is at least large town level, as he can defeat massive demons like Titans, who through just being able to move around at their size would wield nearly city level power. Beyond even this though, the much weaker version of the Doomslayer, back when he was just Doom Guy, was able to defeat the original version of the Icon of Sin, who while dying destroyed untold miles of hell, which can get his physical power anywhere from city to island level in destruction. The essentially absolute limit of strength you can get the Doom Guy to while ignoring lore is multi-continent level in power, which is when he uses the BFG 10,000 to blow a gigantic hole in the surface of Mars. However, this doesn't really matter in
Okay, let him finish.
In a combat sense, as the BFG 10,000 is not part of the Doomslayer's normal arsenal.
That's what I was gonna say. Even if it was part of his arsenal, that don't make Doom Guy, Doomslayer, that don't make him powerful. He just built it, clicked the button. Oppenheimer, you know what I'm saying? Albert Einstein, theory of relativity. Oppenheimer said, yo, we gonna pack that up, put it in a ball. Hey, Japan, hold this. All right, listen, that is no disrespect. Listen, I love anime. All right, but that don't make Oppenheimer OP. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say, man.
Also, speaking of Arsenal, for the most part, I'm not going to be covering the hacks abilities of either side because ultimately it's not going to matter for this video. If you do want to see that kind of stuff, there are plenty of other videos and just the gameplay of Doom to show you what he can do. So, from these general values, how far is the Doomslayer getting? Based on the fact that he should just be unquantifiably stronger than himself from Doom 2 after numerous amps and upgrades, the Doomslayer can be at least through the Pilaf saga. The strongest feat in this arc is of course Master Roshi destroying Mount Frypan, which is city to mountain level in power, which cannot scratch the higher ends of the Icon of Sin's dying spasms. However, the immediate next arc has Master Roshi destroying the moon, a feat superior to really any on-screen explosions the Doomslayer has created or survived. Even the previously mentioned BFG 10,000 feat would pale in comparison to the output of the max power Kamehameha. Hypothetically though, the Doomslayer might be able to beat Roshi before he ever transforms and uses the technique, which would maybe allow him to get a little bit further into OG Dragon Ball, but again, he would be hard stopped at the 22nd Budokai and King Piccolo saga, where characters like Goku and Tien have pretty solid arguments for surpassing anything Roshi should be capable of. So, the ultra downplayed gameplay Doomslayer ultimately would meet his defeat before he even sees Piccolo Jr. Okay, so let's look at the real scaling of Doom and the Doomslayer. And frankly, the power scaling here is just a disgustingly massive jump. Remember the Icon of Sin? Let's talk about him again, as this demon would return in Doom Eternal stronger than ever as the final boss of the base game. As we get told repeatedly, the Icon of Sin gradually grows stronger with every moment he is on Earth, and would eventually grow powerful enough to destroy the Earth and create a black hole that would envelop the entire universe and bring it to hell. We get told that this is an active and present threat that needs to be immediately stopped or it will come to pass. Given that the Doomslayer is ultimately able to low diff the Icon of Sin and his armor, I think it's fine to say that this makes the Doomslayer anywhere from galaxy to multi-galaxy level, as he should just be outright superior to the black hole created by the Icon of Sin that would have enveloped the universe over time.
Like the only thing about that is if you put a human versus a Black Widow spider, the Black Widow spider might win, okay? Does that mean the Black Widow spider is more powerful than the human? No. I might be a Dragon Ball Glazer, Doomslayer hater, I don't know, but this
even if you disagree and think the Icon of Sin wasn't on Earth long enough to actually start this chain reaction, it won't impact Doomslayer's final scaling. Taking this scaling for now, however, how far does the Doomslayer get? Well, immediately, he obviously is now contending with the level of power of Dragon Ball Z. Using the anime, the absolute best scaling you'd possibly get for the Saiyan Saga and anything before is large planet level, which is a drop in the bucket compared to the universe enveloping black holes the Icon of Sin could potentially make.
But that's the thing though. That's the thing when you make those comparisons of, oh, the black hole, he didn't beat the black hole though. So it didn't like, you didn't beat the strongest move it had. You beat it before it could do the strongest move, right? When you play Sephiroth, the Wing Angel Sephiroth, whatever it's called, I forgot what the form is called. If they don't do that move where they send the meteor through the planets to hit you, but you beat it before then, that don't make you more powerful than it doing the supernova attack. That don't mean that you're that strong. It just means you beat them before they got to that move. Yo, I might be a hater. I ain't gonna lie. I might be a hater.
Also goes for the Namek Saga and Cell Saga, which either have solar system feats from things like Namek's explosion, or outright statements like both Cell himself and guides stating that his Kamehameha had solar system busting power. The only way to get these arcs higher is from statements that the main villains like Frieza or Cell could destroy the universe or intend to destroy the universe. But honestly, these statements are pretty much identical to those for the Icon of Sin. Without knowing the time frame for either of these statements, it's impossible to say which is better. So from this alone, Doomslayer at best gets as far as anime Cell Saga at a highball. However, the Doomslayer is nowhere near done, as we now need to talk about the actual cosmology of the Doom universe, as well as the current strongest threat he's taken on at this point, Davoth, and by extension, Hell itself. Buckle your seatbelts, because this is going to get a little bit crazy and very convoluted. Now, besides the Doomslayer himself, the thing most consistent across the main Doom narrative has been Hell. Hell is repeatedly stated to be boundless, endless, timeless, and that is ultimately unlimited by the boundaries of space, time, or dimension while transcending time and space. This is supported by the fact that Hell is explicitly a higher and superior dimensional plane to a space known as Urdak, a place that in and of itself is not only a higher dimension than the mortal plane, which contains infinite timelines and an entire multiverse, but it is just explicitly stated to be the sixth dimension, already making Urdak complex multiverse level. Hell, being a superior dimension to even that, would be even further into that complex multiversal tier. Now, by itself, the Doomslayer would not inherently scale to this cosmology if not for the fact that he's able to defeat Davoth in the DLC of Doom Eternal. Davoth is the ultimate Dark Lord of the Doom universe, and Hell itself was merely an extension of his power.
It's actually a really interesting question, and it's going to be answered in DLC 2 in more depth, but I can say it is an absolute extension of the Dark Lord.
Ooh, I love it. I love it.
Pretty much every realm and being I've mentioned up to this point, including Hell and Urdak, and even the Doomslayer himself, were either indirect or direct creations of Davoth. And he considers both making and unmaking these realms something as simple as
I need y'all to listen to this.
I've mentioned up to this point, including Hell and Urdak, and even the Doomslayer himself, were either indirect or direct creations of Davoth.
I need y'all to listen to what he just said, okay? They were inventions or creations of him, okay? But when you create and invent things, are you necessarily that powerful, right? There is a difference between fighting with these or something that you do with your body and something comes out of it, right? Than fighting somebody who invented things, right? You got people who invented guns, but you got people who could beat those people up who invented the guns, okay? You got people who invented bombs, and you got people who would beat up the people who invented the bombs. Just because they invented it or they created something does not mean they themselves are that powerful. So if you beat them, that does not now say you are more powerful than all the things that they created. With that being said, bruh, Dragon Ball 1v1 in a hyperbolic time chamber. What? No weapons, right? I mean, even if you gave Doom the weapons, bro, like instant transmission behind him, head gone, bro. Like, what do, like.
And he considers both making and unmaking these realms.
Davoth Red Armor created the one that beat him, Doom Gold Armor.
Something as simple as doing it with his bare hands.
It's like the thing, like, is Batman stronger is Batman more powerful than Superman? No. Is Iron Man more powerful than Thor? No. But Batman and Iron Man can create things to help them beat that person, but that does not make them more powerful than them. Now, if you say everything at your disposal, who wins in a fight, that's a different question. Who can win in a fight is different then who is more powerful than the other one? Because somebody may be able to create something in a fight that helps them beat somebody else or outthink them, or you know what I'm saying? But that does not make them more powerful than them. Those are two different things, in my opinion. You said no,
Despite
it's just
this
prep time?
and literally using a giant mech suit to make himself stronger, he gets beaten and literally one shot by the Doomslayer, who himself took seemingly no actual damage. And this is where the Doomslayer scaling stops for now, and probably will stop for a while.
If you can create something that helps you win to the point you're more powerful because you won, no, that is not true. You are not more powerful than something because you won. That does not make you more powerful. Okay. Here's an example. If I come to a battle with a grenade, a rocket launcher, you know what I'm saying, a shotgun, and you come with a throwing knife, and you kill me with that throwing knife, does that make you more powerful than the guns I brought? No. You weren't more powerful. You won for sure. But that throwing star is not the most powerful thing that entered the battle. It's just not.
You see, Doom Dark Ages is a prequel to the original Doom 2016, and the Doomslayer has gotten massively stronger since the events of even just 2016. So it's very unlikely that the game will provide the Slayer with any new higher scaling, as it would be completely contradictory if anyone or anything in that game comes close to Davoth in power. So, does anyone in Dragon Ball come close? Immediately, even just being baseline multiversal is putting Doomslayer in contention with the pinnacle of the Dragon Ball verse. I don't personally believe any feat in Dragon Ball even gets beyond the low multiversal class between Goku and Beerus in Battle of Gods, even taking higher end scales of the Otherworld being 4 or 5D due to one statement of it being.
So you hear what you said? Skill is an attribute. It's an attribute. Power is a separate attribute. When you play Final Fantasy, they have vitality, they got luck, they got power, they have well, they don't have like a actual skill power, but they'll have magic, attack magic, which is a skill. But power is not a skill. Power is power. You know what I'm saying? What you do with that power can help you win. Skill helps over power. Yeah. Thank you. Skill helps over. I'll give you that one.
Transcendent, this wouldn't even get it as high as Urdak, let alone hell itself. Even waking Dragon Ball by using out-of-context super-dimensional statements, worrying about the concept of time statements, or beyond dimension statements, these aren't any better than those statements for hell, which again is literally unlimited by dimensionality. In other words, if Dragon Ball high tiers are outerversal, so is the Doomslayer. So to answer the question asked by this video, how far does the Doomslayer get in Dragon Ball? He would be slamming literally everyone with ease, including the angels, gods, and Zeno himself. It's probably a far more fair match to put the Doomslayer up against something like Dragon Ball Heroes. And even then, depending on the continuity, he still probably has better scaling. Turns out the only thing the Dragon Ball verse has to fear is him.
You should see Constantine videos eventually, because he's a character who constantly defeats beings more powerful than him. Dante, look, you just said the thing, right? You can beat people more powerful than you and not be the most powerful. But I think the way he phrased this question is, how far would Doomslayer get? I agree with that. Okay. I agree with how far he would get. Okay. Is he more powerful? Is a totally separate question. In my opinion, if somebody takes it that way, they got it. You know what I'm saying? You got it. You think he's more powerful. I just disagree. Okay. I think being more powerful and winning are not always, they don't always equate to each other. When I say somebody is more powerful than somebody, you ever seen like the You know that arcade game where the thing comes down and people punch it and they see what the number goes to? The person with the highest, like if that number was able to go to infinity, right? And we took the person who punches the highest on that, that person probably still couldn't beat Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match. All right. If they were to actually throw hands at each other, they might be more powerful, but Floyd might win. That's how I see power. Right. But if you were to give that power to Floyd, that's the only way that I think that you can come to that conclusion. If he had the highest score on that and was the best winner. Okay. But
If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching.
oh, big dubs on this channel. This was a good little introduction. I think the way he framed the question, he's correct. Doomslayer could get that far. Okay. Because I think if the question was like, who can survive a more dangerous world? I'm with you, right? Because clearly he survived a world that was multi-dimensional, multi-million dimensional powers of being in hell and all that stuff. He would survive in that situation. Does that make him more powerful though? No.
So when the metal hit his mug, he just sunk in place. 100K Holla, chillin' Bahamas. Come home to your crib and throw in your mama.